to neighbors retire the same year from the same company with almost the exact same savings, just under $1 million each. 9 years later, one of them is fishing every weekend without a worry in the world. The other one is checking his bank balance every single morning, terrified. Same money, same street, totally different life. And today, I'm going to show you exactly why that happens and which of 5 stages of retirement income you're actually standing on right now. Most people obsess over one number, the total in their account, but that number barely matters. What matters is the monthly paycheck that number is able to produce and how that paycheck was built. There are 5 distinct stages of retirement income, and which stage you land on has very little to do with how much you saved and everything to do with how intentionally you set it up. I'm not here to rank people by net worth. That's a scoreboard, not the game. The game is what hits your account every month for the rest of your life. So let's walk through all 5 stages. From stage 1, where a single government check is your whole world, up to stage 5, where people don't even touch their principal anymore. I'll give you real 2026 numbers, show you what life actually looks like at each stage. And this is the important part. I'll show you exactly how people move up a stage, plus the hidden traps that can drop a comfortable retiree down a level without any warning at all. Quick disclaimer before we start. This is general education, not personal financial, tax, or legal advice. Talk to a licensed professional before making decisions with your own money. Stage 1, the single check. At this stage, one government benefit check isn't part of the plan. It is the plan. As of early 2026, the average monthly Social Security benefit for a retired worker sits around $2,070, which works out to roughly $24,800 a year. For a couple where both partners worked, that average climbs to about $3,200 a month, or roughly $38,000 a year. Close to a quarter of retired households live at this stage. The defining trait here isn't the dollar figure. It's that every dollar is already claimed before it lands. Medicare Part B premiums, sitting around $203 a month in 2026, come out automatically. What remains covers rent or a mortgage, groceries, utilities, and medication, usually in that exact order. There's no cushion. A $900 car repair isn't inconvenient. It's a crisis. New glasses, a dental crown, a grab bar in the shower. These things get pushed off until a tax refund arrives or a family member steps in. But there's real leverage available here that most people never use. Medicare savings programs can cover that Part B premium. Extra help brings down prescription costs. SNAP helps with groceries. None of this is a handout. You paid payroll taxes for decades to fund these systems. Using them is collecting on something you already paid for. The single biggest decision at this stage is when to start claiming. File at 62 and you lock in about 70% of your full benefit for life. Wait until 70 and you get around 120% permanently, adjusted for inflation every year after. For a household relying entirely on this one check, that decision alone can be the difference between stage 1 and stage 2 for the next 3 decades. Stage 2, the reactive cushion. This stage looks like stage 1, but with some savings behind it. An IRA or 401k holding somewhere between $50,000 and $150,000 total. Household income usually falls between $30,000 and $50,000 a year, and roughly 1 in 5 retired households sit here. The defining problem at stage 2. Withdrawals aren't planned. They're reactions. The water heater dies, so $3,000 comes out. A hospital bill arrives, so $4,000 comes out. The retirement account becomes an emergency fund, except every withdrawal is taxed as regular income. There's also a quiet trap buried in a Medicare choice many people made without realizing its weight. A lot of folks at this stage picked a Medicare Advantage plan because the premium was $0, and $0 sounds great on a tight budget, but that $0 premium usually means higher copays and out-of-pocket costs later, right when your health needs the most care. A Medigap supplement costs more monthly, but smooths out the bumps. Neither choice is wrong, but it's a real trade-off. And it deserves to be made deliberately, not just because the sticker price says 0. That reactive pattern creates stage 2's biggest danger. Say the roof starts leaking the same month the market drops 15%. Most people sell shares to cover the repair, meaning they sell at the worst possible time. Do that 2 or 3 times early in retirement, and a portfolio built to last 30 years can run dry in 15. This is called sequence of returns risk, and it quietly wrecks more retirements than almost anything else. The fix isn't a bigger account. It's a small emergency bucket, 12 to 18 months of expenses, sitting safely in cash, so you're never forced to sell investments during a downturn. That one buffer is what lets a stage 2 retiree stop reacting and start planning. Stage 3, the income floor. This is the most important stage in the whole video, so stick with me here. Stage 3 means every essential bill, housing, food, insurance, utilities, is covered by guaranteed income, Social Security plus a pension, or Social Security plus an annuity. Investments become optional spending money, not survival money. Financial planners call this your income floor. A generation ago, employer pensions built this floor automatically. Today, most people have to build it themselves. Household income here typically runs $50,000 to $75,000 a year, and roughly 1 in 6 retirees reach this stage. Now here's a story I promised at the start. Picture a retired school teacher married to a retired mechanic with $300,000 saved. Between 2 small pensions and Social Security, they bring in $65,000 a year, guaranteed, no matter what the market did last week. Now picture their neighbors with $1.10, millions saved but no pension at all. On paper, the neighbors look 3 times wealthier, but every month they have to decide how much to withdraw from which account in whatever market conditions exist that day. When stocks fall, their confidence falls with it. By income structure, not net worth. The teacher and the mechanic are actually further along. That's the whole idea of this video. In one sentence, it's not the size of your savings. It's whether that savings produces a paycheck you can count on. Here's how to find your own floor. Add up guaranteed income, Social Security, pension, annuity. Then add up your true essential expenses. The bills you'd still owe if every optional expense disappeared tomorrow. If guaranteed income covers those essentials, you're at stage 3 or higher, regardless of your account balance. If there's a gap, that gap is the single most important number in your retirement plan. Climbing a stage without saving another dollar. Here's what almost nobody explains. You move up a stage not by getting richer, but by converting part of your savings into income you literally cannot outlive. 3 ways to do that. First, delay claiming Social Security as long as you reasonably can. Each year you wait between 62 and 70 adds roughly 8% to your benefit. Guaranteed. INFLATIO unadjusted. For life. There's no better guaranteed return anywhere in finance. Second, consider putting a small slice, not all, of your savings into a simple income annuity, just enough to push guaranteed income above your essential expenses. Third, eliminate one large fixed cost, like paying off a mortgage, which lowers the floor you need to reach in the first place. Researchers have actually studied this. Multiple retirement spending. Studies have found that retirees spend meaningfully more freely when income arrives as a guaranteed paycheck versus the same dollar amount sitting in an investment account. A guaranteed paycheck doesn't just cover bills, it gives people permission to actually enjoy their money. That permission is what climbing a stage really buys you. To hidden traps before going further up. To traps not comfortable retirees backward more than anything else. Trap 1. The survivor gap. When one spouse passes away, the household loses the smaller of the two. Social Security checks entirely, but expenses barely drop. Worse, the surviving spouse moves from joint tax filing to single filing, often paying more tax on less income, with more of their Social Security becoming taxable. A couple comfortably at stage 3 can see the survivor drop down a full stage overnight. If you're married, plan for the day there's only one of you Get pension survivor elections right. And think carefully about which spouse should delay claiming longer. Trap 2. Long-term care. Roughly 7 in 10 people turning 65 today will need some form of long-term care. Standard Medicare does not cover extended care. A few years in a care facility can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's the fastest way to drain even a well-funded retirement. The fix isn't picking the perfect option. It's having any plan at all, whether that's long-term care insurance, a hybrid policy, dedicated savings, or simply understanding the rules well before you need them. Stage 4, multiple streams. Stage 4 means 3 or more income sources running simultaneously. Social Security, a pension or annuity, and planned, not reactive portfolio withdrawals. Household income typically runs $75,000 to $120,000. And this is where withdrawals follow an actual system, a fixed percentage or a guardrails approach that pulls back in down markets and allows more spending in strong ones. A couple drawing $3,000 from Social Security, $2,200 from a pension, and $1,800 in planned withdrawals brings in roughly $84,000 year, 3 streams, each with a specific job. This is also where a new, better problem appears. Taxes. Stage 5. Managing the tax bill. At this stage, the question flips from do we have enough to how do we keep more of what we have? 3 tripwires define it. First, IRMAA Medicare, PREMIUM surcharge that kicks in 2026 once income crosses roughly $109,000 for a single filer or $218,000 for a couple. It's based on income from 2 years earlier, catching new retirees off guard. And it's a hard cliff. $1 over the threshold triggers the full higher premium for the entire year. Second, required minimum distributions, starting at 73 for most retirees. The government forces withdrawals from tax-deferred accounts, whether needed or not, which can push you into a higher IRMAA bracket and make more Social Security taxable. Third, withdrawal order, generally taxable accounts first, tax-deferred second, Roth last. Getting the sequence wrong can cost 6 figures over a lifetime. The years between retiring and our MD starting are often the lowest income years of your adult life, which makes them the ideal window for Roth conversions. At today's rates, diffusing future tax problems before they detonate. Stage 5 plus, living off the income, not the principal. At the very top, principal stays untouched. Dividends, interest, rental income, and business distributions cover the entire lifestyle. Social Security becomes a rounding error. The focus shifts entirely toward trusts, charitable giving strategies that satisfy our MDs tax efficiently, and gifting to family. Even here, there's a weak point. Concentration risk. Income from 8 properties in one town is far riskier than the same income spread across different markets and asset types. The one thing that matters, across every single stage, the pattern is identical. The best retirements aren't built by the biggest account balance, they're built by income. That was designed on purpose. A guaranteed floor under the essentials. Multiple streams arriving on schedule. Taxes managed deliberately. And both hidden traps planned for in advance. Net worth is the scoreboard. Income is the game you actually play every month for the rest of your life. So here's your one task this week. No matter which stage you're on, add up your guaranteed income, add up your essential expenses, and find the gap between them. That single number tells you exactly where you stand and what to do next. This has been general education, not personalized advice. Use what you've learned to have a sharper conversation with a professional you trust. A great retirement was never about being the richest person on the street. It's about knowing your number is going to show up every single month, no matter what. Savvy 5 parts Milgay, total 5 parts. Hankyanki Pura script, approximately 12,850 characters Kahai.